episode of Upfront and Straightforward. I'm Roger Currie. This is my 9th season. I think my 19th or 20th episode of my 9th season on Blog Talk Radio. And tonight, what we're discussing is women being submissive to a man. Should women be submissive to all men all of the time? Should women be submissive to some men some of the time? Or should women never, ever be submissive to a man? So you can say those are the three questions I'm asking. Should a woman be submissive to all men all of the time, some men some of the time, or another extreme position would be just never, ever? I know some women who they don't believe in being. Now, out of those three, my first guess, you could say, occupies two of those three positions. He believes that a woman should either be submissive 100% of the time or submissive 0% of the time. He's been a guest on my show before, and to my memory, we had a good conversation. He's a professional dating coach. You know what's funny? Just to juice up his head a little bit, I had a woman who listens to a lot of my episodes. And you know how men, if we look at a woman with nice lips, we'll say something, at least I'll say, damn, she got dick-sucking lips. And I know a lot of other men who look at women's lips and say, damn, she got dick-sucking lips. I didn't know women look at men's lips and say that they got pussy-licking lips. That's what one of my female listeners said about my guest. Look, she said, he got pussy-licking lips. I said, okay. But he's been featured on VH1, Fuse, Dish Network, TLC, ABC Family, The Tyra Banks Show, and Anderson Cooper. He's written for FlaglerHill.com, SinglesWarehouse.co.uk, DatingAdvice.com, and the Fort Greene New York Times blog. He's been a professional dating coach helping men all over the country, and I want to say particularly in the New York area, but he has fans all over. And his dating advice is accessible through online videos, blogs, and his website, which is www.mrlocario.com. He does, similar to me, he does consultation sessions with clients, analyze a relationship for you. If you're married or in a relationship, he'll give you an analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of that marriage or that relationship. And in addition to being a professional dating coach, he's also a rap artist and actor, and he founded an entertainment company called iTax. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And he still performs under his pseudonym Trends in New York, California, Florida, New Mexico, and various other places. He's been featured in a number of media publications, Rolling Stone, Source, Vibe, and I'm glad to have him back for the second time. So on behalf of Blog Talk Radio and listeners of Upfront and Straightforward, I say, listeners, give it up for the young brother they simply call Mr. Locario.
Yo, what's going on, man? What's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Locario?
What's the deal?
You up here getting women's pussies wet with your lips, man. What's up with that, man?
I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know, man. You know, I'm just chilling, man. I had no idea.
I'm envious, man. I don't think I've ever had a woman tell me I had pussy licking lips. I said, damn.
Well, you can't go down on everybody though. You know what I'm saying? You gotta.
Hey, that's the truth. Ain't that the truth? Well, brother, I think this is the most interesting. Now, before I dive right into the discussion for the evening, I know some of my longtime listeners are very familiar with you, but just take at least 2 to 3 minutes to kind of refresh my audience about what made you. I always like to ask guests, what series of events in your life led you to your career as what motivated you to say, okay, I want to be a professional dating coach?
Right. I mean, well, basically, what I used to do before this, I used to do video production in the after-school program, so I would teach kids how to make music videos and all that other stuff. And it was cool, but I wanted to do something else that was, like, particularly, like, my own business. And so my business partner, who's also my best friend, you know, he was like, hey, you know, I know that you're good at, you know, talking to girls, helping guys get chicks, because I used to help him and my other friends get girls when we would go out. So then he was like, yo, you should actually try to do this, you know, for real, you understand, as a job, as a career. And then so I was like, all right, let's see what's good. So I just started doing a couple of videos on YouTube, and then when I put those videos out, I was getting, like, crazy emails, you know, asking for advice. So then after that, I just put out a free book. I started doing more videos, started writing articles for different websites, and then just snowballed from there. So I've been doing it for, like, 8 years now, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, you know, just to help that I'm you know, giving people, it feels good to see people actually, you know, improving and making things go down, you know? So that's how it went down, you know?
Okay. Hey, man, I always tell people, man, who anytime you dedicate a large part of your life to helping other people improve their love lives, sex lives, and overall social lives, I just have the utmost of respect. You know, if they teaching the right thing. There's some people out here, they teaching some stuff that I'm not a big fan of, but but yeah, just the fact that, you know, you have a passion for helping out people. Okay, so now getting to this subject, let me first ask you, thinking of your relationships with women, would you say for yourself, do you think it's would you say it's an absolute strong preference of yours for a female companion to have a very highly feminine and submissive demeanor and disposition with you, or are you indifferent towards the whole idea of a dominant submissive relationship?
Oh, no. Well, for me, the chick has to definitely be submissive. You understand what I'm saying? And the thing is, a lot of women that I've been with, they don't even realize they're submissive because they think submission means, like, you know, I got my foot on her neck and she can't, you know, have a say in anything. You know what I mean? Like, so they feel like that's what it is. But I'm like, you know, I love when women are submissive, because to me, being submissive, you know, for a woman, that's her basic natural state. You understand what I'm saying? I think also for men, to be dominant is their natural state. So for me as a man and being masculine, it's like I can't be with a woman who is basically acting like she's not submissive. And I say acting with, you know, capital bold letters, because I believe that all women naturally are submissive, and when they're not being submissive, they're just acting as if they're not submissive, depending on, you know, society and how society has trained them to, you know, believe and think and feel and all this other stuff. And so, you know, when I'm dealing with a girl, it's like I deal with women who are, you know, embracing the fact that they're submissive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's well, it's interesting. You probably heard me talking about Iceberg Slim.
Right.
And when I was reading his book, based on the things he said, it's like he almost simultaneously agrees with you and disagrees with you. Because on one end, in his book, he said that he does think that a woman's, you could say, default nature is to submit to a man. So he does believe that's a woman's default nature. So that's where I would say he agrees with you. But then he goes on to say, as I already mentioned, that he believes that if you take a submissive woman, though, and say you put her in a particular social environment that's full of nothing but wimpy, no backbone type men, that she's going to lose her motivation to remain submissive, and that she's going to start slowly but surely becoming more dominant. So then let me ask you this, based on your position. Do you feel like even if a woman is, say, at a social function with some men who might be like, you know, passive beta male types, that she should still maintain her submissive nature?
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, first of all, what you were talking about, what Iceberg Slim was saying, I actually agree with what he's saying, because from you know, when you look at it objectively, what's happening is that for men and women, or with masculine and feminine, you know, men have masculine and feminine, and women also have masculine and feminine. But the thing is that men have more masculine and women have more feminine. But so when you have a man and a woman together, there has to be a balance there. So if you have a dominant man, the woman has to be submissive. And the thing is that, like you were saying, if you put a woman in a situation where, and especially for a long period of time, where there's no dominant males and the males are on some beta type of stuff, she's going to naturally become, or she's going to have to, have those characteristics of a more dominant person, because the balance needs to be there regardless. So if the men are not being dominant, the woman is going to have to be dominant. You understand what I'm saying? That's what's happening today. You see a lot where, like, you have all these guys out here who are beta, and then they're being controlled, and they have these dominant females. So, but to answer your question, like, let's say if a woman goes to a certain place, and let's say she is a submissive woman, right? Even if the guys are beta, she still would be submissive in that situation. But if she was in that situation for a long period of time, then she would probably end up starting to be more dominant, because the guys are, that's continuing to be beta submissive. You understand what I'm saying? So that's it always has to be that balance, and the balance is always going to be there either way. So if the guy is not dominant, the woman's going to be more dominant, and if the guy is dominant, the woman is her natural submissiveness is going to shine even more, because he's so dominant. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Now it's interesting because I've had a lot of debates, some of them even heated debates on this very show, because I always make the argument that to women that I don't believe that a totally alpha male can coexist long term in a relationship with a totally alpha female. And based on what you just said, I would say you co-sign with me on that, because the nature of being alpha means that you want to lead, if not flat out dominate, whatever relationship you in. So if you got the man that's looking to lead and dominate, and you got the woman that's also looking to lead and dominate, somebody's going to have to give. And
exactly.
And that's what I was mentioning this previous guest I had named Katarina Fang, and that's what she was basically saying. She agreed with me. She's like, no. She's like, and see, this is the what's the word I'm looking for? What do you call that? Similar to the catch-22. See, there's a lot of alpha females in society who, now the alpha females who are more than willing to hook up with beta males, I don't think they're going to have too many problems. They accept that that's, what it needs to be, along the lines of what you said. You got to have the I call it the yin and the yang. You got to have that yin yang.
Right,
dynamic,
exactly.
Meaning the masculine and the feminine dynamic. And she said most alpha females don't want to date alpha males, but alpha males don't want them. And that's what I tell women all the time. I'm like, and again, I've had some women on the show. Some of them have lightheartedly debated me and disagreed with me. And I've had a couple, though, that we got into like a really, really contentious argument and debate about that. But, yeah, I don't believe that you can have two alphas long-term in a relationship. Like, I know I'll speak for myself. I'm very alpha. I can never, ever date a woman who's as alpha as me. Now, if you're talking about a one-night stand or weekend fling, I'll fuck another alpha for, something short-term. But for anything long-term, oh, hell no. Oh, no.
Right. And you know what it is with the so-called alpha females? I don't even like calling females alpha, you know what I mean? But for this conversation, the so-called alpha females, most of them are miserable. Do you understand? And the reason why they're miserable is because they're not even really in their natural state as far as like when they're in relation to a man. See, a woman could be quote unquote alpha, let's say in her daily life with her doing something. Let's say she's at work or she's with her girlfriends or whatever. But as soon as she gets with a man, right, that dynamic has to change, because now that she's in the presence of a man, she has to play her position. You understand what I'm saying? So since she's not playing her position, she's like, oh, I'm so unsatisfied with all these beta males. And the thing is, the reason why you're so unsatisfied is because you don't want to technically dominate a man. It doesn't turn a woman on to dominate a man. It turns a woman on to be dominated by a man. You see what I'm saying? So she has to tap back into her submissiveness, back into her, more into her femininity, and that's when she'll actually, enjoy the relationship. You see what I'm saying? So she's not going to enjoy the relationship if she's trying to be that quote-unquote alpha female. It's just not going to work. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Okay. So just to clarify again, your position is that women should be, well, number one, you're basically saying that women are naturally submissive.
Right.
And when they're not submissive, they're forcing themselves to become dominant because the men are around. But that's not really who they want to be. They all want to be submissive. And, it's funny because I say that in my book, Who Said Again. One of the pieces of advice I give to men is that I said there's some women you're going to meet that's going to, like, seriously bust your balls and give you what people refer to as shit tests.
Right,
but they just trying to, but I say to men, they just trying to test your backbone. To see,
they're trying to see how
strong it is.
Exactly.
And I tell men that a lot of times, a lot of women who have this seemingly tough exterior or alpha exterior, once you demonstrate to them that you all man and that you got a backbone of steel, they're going to submit. Assume, that they're attracted to you and want to connect with you. They're going to submit. And so, okay, now, what else I want to ask you before I bring GiGi in? Because I want to make sure you guys got. I can't be having y'all agreeing too early because that'll fuck up the whole conversation. so I gotta have y'all disagree. So okay, I'm gonna tell you her position again, and you tell me what you disagree about it. This is what GiGi believes. She believes that a woman is only, number one, is only going to choose to submit to a guy that she's in a romantic or sexual relationship with, and that is only going to be a guy that's alpha dominant type. And on top of that, she believes that even an alpha male should allow her to dominate them, if nothing else, within the context of erotic role play, to kind of keep things interesting and unpredictable. So based on everything I told you about GiGi's position, what do you vehemently, because I remember when she started contributing to your Facebook discussion, y'all kind of start going back and forth. That's when I said, oh shit, I got to turn this into a show. So here's the interesting analogy you used. You said, it's not like when I go out and socialize with women that I say I'm going to choose to be heterosexual today. You were like, no, I'm a heterosexual male. So that means with every woman I interact with, even if that woman's a lesbian or whatever, I'm going to still be heterosexual. And so, again, thinking about GiGi's strong opinions, what do you most vehemently disagree with in terms of her position?
Well, the thing is, I disagree with her feeling like, the woman was going to choose to be submissive depending on if the guy is alpha or not and everything. The thing is, submission is about being. Do you understand? It's about how you are. It's not about you putting on submission because of the situation you're in. You understand what I'm saying? It's kind of like, for example, if I say to if someone says, hey, this guy is a very helpful man, right? And if that man is walking down the street, he might see somebody and he might say, oh, let me go help them out because I feel like they might need my help. And that's coming from him being helpful anyway. That's just how he is. That's his nature to be helpful. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like he's going to say, oh, I'm only going to be helpful if you pay me $20. I'm only going to be helpful if you be nice to me or something. You know what I mean? If he's not doing it because of something, he's doing it because that's part of how he is. So that's the same thing with submission. So it's like when women say, oh, well, I'm only going to submit to a man if he is this way or that way, first of all, they don't know what they're talking about because the submission is already inside them. The thing is that they've been tricked by society, by feminism, by all this new age craziness about, how they talk to women and say, oh, you've been oppressed, and don't do anything for a man because they're oppressing you. So when they've been conditioned with all that crap, right? Then now they're saying, okay, well, I can't be submissive, or I'm only going to be submissive if you do A, B, and C. But the thing is that they're arguing, they're debating about their the nature that they don't even realize that they have. It's their true nature. And I always look at it like this, like that the show Family Guy, and they have the little baby Stewie, where he's like, he's a genius, he does all these crazy things, but in certain parts of the show, they show you him actually displaying baby characteristics, where he starts crying about something. He does like baby type of stuff. Why? Because he's a baby. It's in his nature to do baby stuff. So it's the same thing for women. Women have been, conditioned to feel this way, act this way, do all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, they're still women, and women are naturally submissive. That's just nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's how I look at it.
Now, okay, let me ask you this. This will be my final question before I bring GiGi in, and then after I talk to GiGi for a while, I'm gonna bring both of you in together. But my final question for now is: do you think? How old are you again?
I'm 34.
34. Okay, you're a baby. But even though you're young, you know the history books. You know about the second wave of feminism that happened in the 1960s. To what degree do you think feminism contributed to one of these two things, if not both? Do you feel, based on what you know about feminism, do you think feminism is what first caused women to want to be more alpha and domineering, and or do you think feminism began to make men feel so emasculated and weak that they kind of lost their mojo and their backbone just became more flexible? Do you think any of those two things, if not both, were the direct cause of feminism or not necessarily?
Yeah, I think actually feminism caused both of those things to happen. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a thing, because this is the funniest part though. It's like, when we talk about feminism and everything, what women deem as feminism is not. It's not really like, if we're talking about like the, people say, well, there's the negative connotation, and then they have like sort of the positive thing of like women being liberated, women being equal as a man to be able to do certain things and all that other stuff. Because I'm all for women being able to work. I'm all for women being able to do certain things. But the thing is that feminism has tricked women into thinking that men are oppressing them. They think that being a woman who takes care of kids and takes care of a home is oppressive. You know what I'm saying? They think that being a woman who supports her man and who follows her man is oppressive. So they told women, listen, don't be submissive. Don't follow him. You could do your own stuff. He's just trying to tell you what you can't do. Blah blah blah. And then what happened is that society has been on the side of feminism and these type of women. And then so now they're telling men, hey, listen, if you don't get along with this, or you don't go along with this, then you're a bad person. You're not going to be liked. Women aren't. You're going to get shamed and all these other things. So both of those things are happening simultaneously. So now what happened is that you got all these women being super controlling, and you got all these dudes being beta, and then this is where we're at literally right now today. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and the thing is that people have lost their natural instincts. They have lost that natural ability. This is why you have so many women out here who are miserable. This is why you have so many guys out here who are, lonely and don't know how to really get with women, because they don't know how to really tap into, what they need to tap into to make something happen. A lot of guys aren't dominant, and a lot of women aren't submissive. So it's like all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because I had a speaking engagement in Chicago a few years ago. I think it was 2012. I want to say. And it was me and two other speakers. And one of the other speakers, her name was Amy. Her name, real cool sister. And the audience was about 3/4 black women and 1/4 black men. And I don't know, it might have been 100 people there. And anyway, Amy gets up and starts talking about yin and yang. she basically mentioned a lot of stuff you started talking about how, which a lot of people might not know who's listening, but to reiterate what Mr. Locario started off talking about, all men and women are born actually with masculine and feminine genes. It's just that men, by their nature, are born with far more masculine energy than feminine energy, and women are born usually have more feminine energy than men. But we're both born with both. And but anyway, this chick Amy, she said you have to have a yin yang factor in any relationship.
Right.
She said you know, she basically said a lot of the same stuff I tell women. She said, in her own words, you can't have two alphas. You know, and what was funny, she just very boldly told these sisters, and you know how sisters are. She said, 90% of the reason why you black women in this room are single, and particularly the ones who are 30 years of age or older, is because you got too much damn yang and not enough yin. And you should have saw their faces. They was like looking at her like, oh, you bitch. No, you didn't say that. But the reality is this, and you said it, and this is what I tell women who, like I talk to a lot of women who I recognize are alpha, and some of them realize they need to change. Matter of fact, there's some women who come to me among my female clients that's the specific reason why they come to me is because they want me to train them how to become more beta. But the women who are more defiant and more resistant, who basically say, oh, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to become more submissive. I'm not going to become more girly girl. I always ask them, I say, okay, is the behavior that you've exhibited up to this point, is it working out for you? I always like to ask people that. When people talk about their behavior, I always say, how's it working out for you?
Right.
Because if it's not benefiting you, then you got to ask yourself, should I continue to be alpha if it's hurting my love life and sex life? So I know this might be a dumb question, rhetorical question, but do you think that a woman can enjoy herself even without regular, dependable male romantic companionship or male sexual companionship? Do you think a lot of these women can continue to exist out there wanting to maintain their alpha demeanor?
See, that's the funny part. The thing is that, you know, I think a woman could be single and enjoy herself and enjoy her life and do her thing, and she'll be happy and content if she is being naturally herself. You understand? But when a woman feels like she needs to be alpha, she needs to, I got to be this strong, super, strict type of woman or whatever. It's really a defense mechanism because they don't want to get hurt by guys or whatever it is, and they're not really enjoying themselves because that's not their natural state. But what happens is that they've taken on the identity of being that alpha woman. They've taken on the identity of being that type of woman. So a lot of times when we take on a certain identity, we don't want to let go of that, because if we let go of that, we don't know. We were like, well, who am I if I'm not this? You understand? So you have a lot of women out here who they're just like, oh, well, if a man can't handle me, then, you know, he just got to keep it moving and blah, blah, blah. But it's like they know it's not working. They think like, oh, they're just pointing the finger at the guy and blaming him. But the thing is that they, you know, all they have to grasp onto is that alpha female archetype thing. But they're, like I said earlier, they're miserable. They're not happy because that within itself is not their natural state. Because if they were in their natural state, if they were chilling, if they were just being themselves, if they didn't feel like they needed to put this type of stuff on, even if they were single, they'd probably have loads of guys trying to get with them. Why? Because they're more in their natural state. They would be more of a feminine woman. They would be more of a submissive woman. And then guys would be flocking to them left and right. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, a lot of these dudes, they get with chicks and they'll be like, yeah, I'll hit it, I'll smash or whatever. But a lot of times guys aren't sticking around because they notice within that woman, she's not displaying characteristics of a submissive type of woman, and that's turning the men off, and that's why the guys just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it is.
Yeah, because you know what's so funny to me, and then this will be my final comment because I know GiGi chomping at the bit. But I tell women all the time, why wouldn't you want to be submissive? Because when you're submissive as a woman, it's like attracting flies to shit. I hate to use that as an analogy, but I mean,
right.
you're never going to turn a man off by being submissive.
Exactly.
It's literally like almost impossible to turn a man off when you're submissive. And
pretty much.
But like you said, a lot of women have this visual that to be submissive means I got to come home from work and my husband gonna put his foot on my neck and say, "Hey, bitch, get in that kitchen and cook me some chicken, bitch."
Right.
Exactly. I ain't gonna take that shit. I ain't gonna let him whip my ass and making me cooking some chicken. Oh man. Okay, I want you to lay low for about the next 20 minutes. Get a swig of water, chill, and listen to me talk. I'm gonna bring in my next guest. Listeners, I'm not gonna give a lengthy intro for her because most of you are familiar with her. She's a cool sister. Now she's feisty. She's a feisty rascal. I think she has. I'm gonna juice up her hair a little bit. I think she has probably one of the top 2 to 3 sexiest voices of any woman on Blog Talk Radio. It's like about 20,000 women on Blog Talk Radio. But yeah, she got a very sexy voice. She's a host of her own show here on Blog Talk Radio entitled Sex, Let's Make It Better. And you just got to love and respect anybody who's trying to help people fuck better. You know, you're making me think of Sabrina. Where's Sabrina at when she says that? Oh, here it is.
I like to help people improve their fucking.
Ooh. Say it again.
I like to help people improve their fucking.
Ooh. Say it one more time.
I like to help people improve their fucking.
Ooh.
You're the king, Alan.
And even though that was Sabrina Rogers Anderson saying that, GiGi has that same attitude when it comes to helping men and women. She wants to help people fuck better. Now, she's an interesting woman because just from me knowing her, she would be either switch or flexible. She's not 100% dominant. She's not 100% submissive. She can go either way. She can be dominant when she wants to be, and she can be submissive when she wants to be. And so I'm going to now bring her into the conversation. So listeners, give it up for my girl, Miss GiGi Watt. What's up, Miss GiGi?
Hello. Hi, good evening. How are you guys?
You always crack me up.
Yes, quite an interesting interpretation. I, you know, when you guys start talking about how women's brains work, sometimes I get a little perturbed because, you know, I don't try to figure out how men's brains work. I just try to figure out how the brain works. And when it comes to submission, okay, I'm going to tell you this, whether it's dealing with a male or a female, it always deals with that person being comfortable to be able to be submissive. You can't be submissive to everybody. You know, when you have a job, there's levels. So let's say you're a teacher. As a teacher, you're going to be more submissive to the principal, the superintendent, than you would the janitor. And it's sad to say because, you know, we do have biased thinking, and sometimes we do. Sometimes we look at that guy as the janitor, and so we treat him, we're less submissive. Oh, I wanted to make sure you were there with me. I thought I lost you. So yeah, I'm not saying that it's...
Okay, something's weird happening. Sometimes when you're talking, your voice is going in and out.
Okay, that's horrible. That's really bad. Okay, let's see what I got going on here. Let's see if I can...
I'm hearing you right now. I'm hearing myself, too.
Why does it do that with you? I don't know why. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, when I was talking to Mr.
Locario,
I didn't have an echo like this when I started Mr. Locario, but now there's an echo.
I don't have an echo on my end. I'm not sure what's going on. I am via computer. I'm not on a phone, so I'm calling you from my computer itself. Maybe that's it. Look, when it comes to being submissive, Alan,
okay,
a man has to earn submission.
Before you continue, I want you to just briefly describe, because that term might vary from man to man and woman to woman. So I want you to give me GiGi's general definition of what it would mean, like kind of paint a verbal picture of what it means for a woman to be submissive to a man versus not being submissive to a man.
Okay, being submissive means that she gives of herself fully without second guessing it, ever. He literally has the opportunity to lead. He could put a collar on her if you want to make it sexual. If it's not sexual, he will be the one to lead. He's the driver of the car. He picks the restaurants. He's the main provider, all those things. And she will never second guess it. Are you still having difficulty hearing me?
No, I can hear you fine.
Okay. That's what I see as submissive, and not. You can't give that to everybody. We all know that. In this actual world, you can't be submissive to everybody. You can't just give everybody a wallet. And when you're growing up as a young lady, I don't know how old school some of y'all are, but they used to call a woman's pussy her pocketbook. Okay? So you just don't give everybody your pocketbook. You understand what I mean? So women do pick and choose who they're going to give their pocketbook to. And he has to be worthy. He has to be the type of man that leads at all times. He's never saying, well, where do you want? I'm going to tell you that a woman figures out whether you're a beta or an alpha within the first few minutes of you all actually spending time together. And how she says, if you say to her, if she says, you say, okay, let's go somewhere, and then you ask her where she wants to go, she knows she's going to lead from there. If you never can pick and give the direction that's needed, you're going to be treated like the janitor instead of the superintendent and the principal. You see what I mean? Can't give everybody your pocketbook.
You're offending custodians all over the country. There's some brothers right now like, man, fuck her, man. I've been a janitor for 32 years, man. Fuck her, man.
Look, I ain't mad at that. Hey, there's a head of the janitor too, and he still get respect as head janitor, but he's not gonna get that respect from the teachers or the principal. Let's be honest. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, okay, so you heard. I'm sure you listened to everything Mr. Locario said, and now he believes. Number one, and I generally agree with this too, that women's default nature, their default nature is to be submissive. So just on that point, would you agree or disagree with that?
I absolutely agree. A woman's preference for submission appears to be controlled by, listen to me, the unconscious, inaccessible subcortical part of her brain. She has absolutely no idea why, but we do. We want to submit. We grow up, they give us dollies, they buy us the Barbie mansion and get us Ken. It is all within our nature to want to be wives and mothers and submit, but only, listen, that only happens for a dominant man. It's never going to change. And this is simple, you guys. Like, you can actually read The Human Condition, and it'll break down submissive personality as well as dominant personality, and you'll have a complete breakdown and understanding of how the brain works for both male and female, because we both know that both male and female can be both submissive and dominant. And you're right, two dominant people, that's going to be an ugly fight because somebody's always got to be on top, and it's also going to be a competition that's going to lead to some type of resentment and craziness. Two submissive people can be together. Like, how far they'll get together, that's a whole other thing. Because without a leader, you're kind of the blind leading the blind. So really, for a perfect relationship, you do need someone to be dominant and someone to be submissive. And that's not always, because we have that sexual side, we have that BDSM side, that maybe you're the dominant male all the time. You say, baby, you might smack her on the ass and say, baby, go in there and cook me some chicken, and she go do that. She doesn't mind being submissive in that nature. But when you all get behind closed doors, she may be the one that wants to sit on you and ride all the time. She's, she wants to take control only in that effort and in that part of your life. So there's a weird balance, like he said, the yin and the yang. You can't have too much yin, you can't have too much yang, like you mentioned before. But those two individuals have to understand who they are. Are you the submissive person? Like you said, maybe the switch, maybe you're just, you consider me to be a switch. I am no switch when it comes to business. You know that. I'm none of that. But when it comes to dealing with my man, I can be both dominant and submissive in the bedroom. That's important to me. I need to have that side. I can be completely submissive as a wife. I will get on the floor in a thong and watch the floor while you look at my booty. That's what you need. I'm going to give you that. I'll be submissive in that nature. But when I get you behind closed doors, I need to be that dominant person. Not all the time, but once in a while.
So I take it you just explained yourself. Your husband loves to be dominated to one degree or another.
He doesn't love it. I think he just lets me do it because I'm submissive in all other areas. Does he love it? He'd never admit to it, and so I won't either. How about that? But it happens, because sometimes you have that urge, and I do believe in the moon and the stars and stuff. Sometimes a woman she'll just walk in the door and just take the dick, and you're just like, what happened? It was good. You're not complaining, but it just happened, and you feel violated. I don't know, as a man, because you didn't have that one moment of being dominant. Some men feel threatened by that. So
what's funny, I had this situation a few weeks ago. I forget what the episode was about, but somehow we got on the subject. This was last fall. We got on the subject of dominant and submissive relationships. And one or two guys in my chat room were basically saying they wanted to be a woman's bitch. They wanted to be a woman's submissive. But one of the comments I expressed, and I still feel this way, is that, and I'll say it and then I'll let you as a woman comment on it, but I don't met too many women that wanted a man to be their sexual bitch. I mean, because they just would lose respect for a man. Now, like you're talking about a kind of an erotic role play situation that happens here and there. I'm sure there's quite a few men that are down for that. But, if you're talking about like a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis, most women I know don't want a guy to just be their bitch because in the sexual, because it's just not a turn on. But what I did say, women definitely like for a lot of guys to be their financial bitch and, have a man just be at their beck and call when it comes to financial favors and whining and dining them and that type of thing. But I just don't know too many women who are going to hold in respect for a guy who they can just easily dominate on a regular basis. So
I mean, when you're saying dominate, when I'm talking about dominate, I mean dominating means I put you on your stomach and suck your dick from the back. That's the type of domination that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about making you feel like less of a man. I will still be submissive in my own right. But I just have you in a position that you would normally feel uncomfortable in, and you will enjoy it. Because I'm still your wife. I'm still your woman. It's all those things. I'm not inserting anything anywhere. Okay? There's not that type of dominance. I don't need to put a collar on you. I'm just dominantly taking over the sexual, all the things that a man would do to me. Just pick me up. Just like take the dick on the steps when you come in the door. Like a man would do that. That's what I mean by dominance. And I think a lot of women would enjoy to have that one moment. I'm not saying that you're going to make him your...
That's a little different. To me, what you're describing, and this is just me, but it seems like you're describing more so just a woman being more aggressive. There's a difference between a woman being aggressive versus dominant. Like, when I think of a woman being dominant, it would be a man coming home and the woman saying, "Did you wash the car today after work?" And the guy says, "Yes, ma'am, I did." Oh, and then she said, "Oh, you're such a good boy. Yes, you are, Frank. You're a good boy." And then she pets him on the head like he's a fucking puppy. And he's like, "Yes, ma'am, whatever to please you, ma'am." That's what I think of, at least in the BDSM context. That's what I think of as the man being a submissive, where he referred, because like true BDSM subs, male subs, they would refer to their female partners as my queen or my goddess or my mistress. So that's one of the first things to do with BDSM type domination submission, has to do with how you refer to your partner. Like when I'm in a BDSM relationship, no woman calls me Alan. They either call me Sir, Daddy, or King. One of those three. They don't call me just simply, "Hey, Alan, what do you want for dinner today?" They would say, "Sir, what would you like for me to prepare for you today?" And so, yeah, there's this high degree of deference being displayed and respect. And I would say in the non-BDSM sense, just whoever person always defers for important decisions. So to me, if the man is the one who makes most, if not all has the final say-so over the important decisions regarding the household or the relationship, then he's the leader of that relationship, And if on the flip side, there's some men who are handpicked by their wives. Their wives, like, they have to ask their wives permission to hang out with their boys. I literally know men who've had to do that. They had to ask permission from their wife to go out. And see, that means that the woman's running shit.
Well, and even when they're out, they're afraid that she's going to be angry. They're afraid that she's going to be angry. They can't even enjoy themselves because they're worried about the repercussions of them actually enjoying themselves for that short period of time away from her. I do. But we both know that's not an alpha male.
Oh, for sure.
And I mean, when you're talking about in BDSM, I've always wanted to get paid to be an actual mistress, but I guess I am more aggressive than dominant. As far as in the BDSM position with my mate. But like I said, when we're dealing with the submissive thing, women are going to be submissive to a man that's worthy. And they always will be. Now, not to say there's some women who are openly submissive. They're openly submissive to every man. And then I have the same question that you have. How is that working out for you? Because we both know some women aren't worth being submissive to. Just like not every woman is worth taking out to dinner. The chick that you call at 3 a.m., you know what I mean? And you let her know, I need you to come over here and suck on this. I'm going to take care of you. You take care of me. And then in the morning, I don't even really need you to be here in the morning. When we're done, you can leave. Okay? Women think that way, too. Because you know what? Women don't like to have a lot of bodies. I don't think men realize that. Women don't like to have a lot of bodies. We don't want to sleep with several men. But if I'm single and Alan, you can throw the D. Anytime I call you and you're going to come and get this, I will let you. Now, I may not in my mind say, I want to marry this guy and be with this guy and be with him forever. But I know when I need my itch scratched, I can definitely call you and you're going to take care of business. And it is what it is. Do we all want to be submissive? Absolutely. But we know in this society and with the numbers that we have that sometimes that's not true. And then I'm not even going to get into my whole polyamorous thing where I just believe that people should just go ahead and do that in this society. If you need to have more than one mate, because sometimes this is like that's been heritage. Men should have more than one wife. I believe that.
I want to point out, GiGi was talking about, in her hypothetical. I'm telling you, listeners, if GiGi ever stops by my crib just to like drop off some mail before she leave. She gonna sound like this.
You know what? You know what? So we gonna have to, if that happens,
you stupid.
Yeah, if that happens, we are releasing a sex tape and we are going to make billions, okay?
Oh,
if that ever happens.
Okay, now you listened to everything me and Mr. Locario said, and I'm going to be bringing him back in a few minutes. Okay, what I asked him, what from your stance did he disagree with, and he expressed. So hearing everything he said about the notion of women being submissive and not being submissive, what's the one comment that he said that makes you say, oh, no, I totally disagree with what he said on that point?
I totally disagree that all women now still want to be submissive. And I don't agree with the feminist thing. You know, feminist was about like in the 20s during the Depression, and women just wanted to wear short dresses and makeup. That's really how feminism started. It was really that simple. It wasn't even about money. It went on to a whole lot of things when civil rights came about, dealing with us and race. The whole civil rights movement, actually feminists work with that. But I'm not even going to get into that. That upset me because it's always a shaded type of thing that not all women are like that. There are really no black feminists, trust me. I don't know of any. I haven't met any. Maybe they do exist. I haven't met any black feminists. I've met black women who have been. Let me explain to you what I do agree with. I have met black women who have been in a position like he said that have had to take on a dominant role, whether it be because they're a single parent or they've just met a lot of men that are betas.
Have you heard of Deborah Cooper?
I have read of Deborah Cooper.
She used to have a show on Blog Talk Radio. She's a strong black feminist. She's very feminist. I know a lot of black women who are also feminists.
I just don't believe. I don't believe that. I believe that women have been in circumstances that made them believe that they are, but I don't think they truly have the understanding of what a feminist is. You as a man can be a feminist. Did you know that? Men can be feminists.
Oh, there's some on Twitter.
Yeah, and y'all make fun of them, and it is what it is.
But
it has nothing to do with having a vagina. It's just it's some views and stuff that has spanned out between the 20s, and like you said, women started out where a woman couldn't even look a man in the eye. The beginning of the feminist movement was about women wearing short skirts and makeup, and during the 20s being able to go out because their husbands were at war. It was the beginning of World War I. A lot of women were left with children.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. No, that's not true. You're confusing the Victorian era with the first wave of feminism. First wave of feminism was about more than just wearing high skirts and low skirts. Actually, the first thing, well, there was quite a few things, so I don't want to limit it to just one thing, but before the first wave of feminism, men could basically physically abuse their wives to their heart's delight. They could rape their wives, beat the shit out of their wives, and do whatever the fuck they wanted really to do with their wives.
They were raping them. They were that was.
So the first wave of feminism was about just protecting a woman's physical well-being, just not allowing her to be her husband's fucking like abusive play toy. Then the second wave of feminism was more about equal employment, equal financial earnings, and that type of thing. Now the Victorian era, which kind of, I want to say they kind of, you could say coincide with the first wave of feminism, but what happened in Europe with the Victorian era was that women, there started being a big push for women to be more ladylike. Here's what's interesting, and I've talked about this on previous episodes, a lot of my listeners may not know this. I learned this from this guy named James Amaro, real intelligent guy. He's actually into BDSM. He wrote a book about the BDSM lifestyle, graduated from the University of Chicago. But we were talking in Vegas about 5 years ago, and he said, Alan, I don't know if you know or a lot of people know, but before the Victorian era, women were actually considered the hornier sex. He said, like nowadays, you know, the media and different people stereotype men as being the ones with sex on the brain and always horny. He said, no, before the Victorian era, women were the ones that men were like, damn, bitch, didn't I just fuck you this morning? Why you want some dick so bad? And
yeah,
but then the Victorian era. Go ahead.
You know what? Do you know what hysteria was? You know what hysteria was? Hysteria was made up in the 50s, around the 50s or sometime in that. This was a psychological issue that when women were at a certain state, they were so horny and they weren't getting enough sex that they had hysteria. It deals with the root word of that means uterus. Okay, so her uterus was aching. Doctors were putting vibrators in women and giving them orgasms at that time to cure their hysteria because women were so horny at that time. We're always horny. And you were mentioning his lips, and I was thinking to myself, I wonder how many guys know that we crotch watch. Like, you have a nice pair of pants on, we are checking out your package. We check out your bun. We are as horny as you are. That's an absolute truth. Women back then, and this is the same period of time because we're dealing with World War I, we're dealing with World War II, and then, you know, a lot of those men were displaced. Then you had all this stuff going on between. Women were diagnosed several times with hysteria, and doctors were putting vibrators in. The good old, I forgot the name of it, the original vibrator, because I used to have one. It's the original vibrator that they made, and it looks like a doctor's instrument. It's like tan, but it's the best thing ever. Like, it's not gonna die. And they would get these women off, give them an orgasm, and send them home, and say they would be okay. Their men were unable to give them those type of orgasms, and they felt like when women went through these flagrant, angry moods, that it was because they weren't getting pleased sexually. Just let that sink in for a minute.
GiGi said she had one of them 1900s vibrators. You're real old school on that. Damn.
It was the best. And back then they called it a back vibrator because people didn't understand. It looked like a little wand. It's called, oh my gosh, it's called a wand something. Just look up a wand. It's like the original thing, and it's boring looking. It has little loops of plastic on it. It's the basic thing. It looks like a little rocket, and they would put these in these women and get them off and send them home to their husbands, and they'd be happy-go-lucky because they got to have several orgasms, which they weren't getting with their husbands.
I want to give a shout-out in my chat room to Phil Jackson Jr. I didn't see him he's in my chat room. Welcome. I haven't seen you, young brother, in a while. Okay, my final question before I bring, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you a final question. I'm going to take another intermission. Then I'm going to bring both, have you and Mr. Locario mics open, and I'm going to also open up my phone lines. But my final question would be, I'm going to have to throw race into the issue. I have a lot of brothers who complain that sisters seem to be more reluctant to be submissive than, say, a white woman, an Asian woman, or a Hispanic woman. Matter of fact, I had a guest on my show a few years back by the name of Steve Penner, and he was a really good guest, and he ran this dating group in Connecticut, middle-aged and older people. He was kind of operates more or less as a matchmaker for these divorced singles. And anyway, he would issue these surveys, and one of the surveys he issued was, if you were to date someone outside of your race, who would be your top 2, top 3 preferences? And among the women, the most desired women for men to date outside their race was Asian women, because, no surprise here, he admitted that most of people's preferences were based not so much on those people's personal interactions with these people, but more so their stereotypes of these people. And so the stereotype of Asian women was that Asian women are ultra submissive and demure with their men. They show their men the utmost of respect and deference. On the exact opposite end, the least desired female was black women. Men of other races felt like black women are just very defiant, very argumentative, and very disrespectful towards their male companions. So, given what Steve Pinner said and combined with tonight's subject, what's your thoughts based on your interactions and conversations with other women of color? What's your thoughts about the stereotype that black women are the most defiant and most reluctant to be submissive compared to women of other races?
I think that a lot of men have the Asian geisha girl stereotype. In all races, I've seen disrespectful and rude women, and I'm a has-been, so I've actually dated women before. So I've seen them in all races, and not to me, but in general, I've seen women with just nasty attitudes. And it's because of the things that they have going on in their life where they're broken and they just haven't fixed it. I'll never generalize that, and I'm not going to stereotype because, like I said, I think a lot of men with the Asian thing, they think they're going to get this geisha girl. And I have boys that have been in Japan that'll tell you, yeah, that ain't what it's about. Boys in the military, okay? That's not true of all Asian women. So we're dealing with something that, just like we're making the stereotype about the African American woman, you all are making a stereotype about the Asian woman. A woman is only going to be submissive to a man who is worthy. She will only do that, and he will have to show her that he's all the things that a man should be in her eyesight. Now, for some, that might be more than, it might be too much. It might be a little less. Some women are, like you said, some women are financially hungry. So if you got a lot of money, they might be submissive for your money, for your pockets. Some women might not care about your pockets, but just the fact that you're a good father, you do your best to provide. If you got to cut grass, you know what I mean? If you need to go on the roof with your buddy to make a little extra money to take care of your home, they'll still respect you and love you because you're still trying. It's not always about that. It depends on the individual and their thinking. It has nothing to do with race. It never does. Mm-hmm. Even with the upbringing.
Okay. All right, listeners, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my second intermission break. When I get back, I'm going to open up my phone lines, and you can ask questions of Mr. Locario. You can ask questions of GiGi. You can ask questions of both. You can add in your own commentary on this subject about submissive women. Do you think women should be submissive? Number one, to men, period. So that'd be the first question I'm probably going to ask you if you call in. Do you think women should be submissive? Secondly, if so, do you think they should be submissive all the time to all men? Or do you think, like GiGi was saying, they should be submissive to some men some of the time? And this episode is probably gonna go to full 4 hours, so get ready. So I'm gonna take an intermission break, and if you want to call in, I see some people in my phone queue now, and if you're already in my phone queue, make sure you press the number 1. That lets me know you have a question or comment. Now that I got both y'all mics open at the same time, GiGi, anything you want to say directly to Mr. Locario about his comments, and Mr. Locario, anything you want to say directly to GiGi? Because, on Facebook, listeners, they was kind of going at it. I ain't going to say they was going at it like cats and dogs, but it's like Mr. Locario was like XYZ, and then GiGi was like ABC, and then Mr. Locario was like LMNOP. And then they were just like, I said, oh, shit, I got to turn this into a show. Because, boy, yeah, So anything y'all want to get out and say, like, GiGi, fuck what you said. That shit was stupid. Or Mr. Locario, fuck you and your pussy licking lips. I don't care what you say.
GiGi, you can go first. Go first if you go first, and I'll.
I don't have anything like awfully ugly to say debate-wise. I just don't agree with the whole why all women are like that is feminism. I just think that women are put in that category sometimes because of their circumstances. Like you stated too, you did say that too. You know, sometimes a woman's put in a position where she has to be dominant, even though she's submissive and it's what she wants to be. Because we all know that subcortical. You know, that's how the brain works.
Right.
But I really don't have horrible words. Nothing
well,
mean.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Locario. I'm going to throw a question that I asked GiGi. I didn't ask you this question. And sometimes I don't necessarily like to bring race into discussions, but I'm sure you've had a lot of black male clients, and I'm sure those black male clients might have had this criticism, that criticism, this comment, that observation. Have you had any brothers say to you, man, Mr. Locario, man, sisters, man, they just don't want to be submissive, man. Fuck them, man. They all like, you know, I want to be a strong sister and shit, man. Fuck that. So do you think black women, based on your experiences and observations and comments you hear from others, do you think they have the stereotype of being more resistant to being submissive than, say, a white woman or Asian woman, or not necessarily?
Well, I mean, the thing is, you know, when it comes to that whole thing where it's either saying like black women are more resistant, it's to an extent generally, because there's always exceptions, you know, but if we're going to generalize, it actually is true. But the reason why it's true is because since we live in a system of white supremacy, and they basically, you know, the whole thing with white supremacy, and I actually did a lecture the other day, and also with one of my boys, and he was basically saying, this other dating coach, Eddie Hughes, he was saying that the reason why, especially black women, are not, you know, into the whole submission thing is because since, you know, the white man has dominated this entire country for all these years, they look at submission as oppression anyway because of how white people have oppressed people just in general. So that trickles down to, you know, how things are today or whatever. So when you have a system where the black man is basically shitted on all the time, you know what I mean, then, you know, the black woman's going to look at this guy like, why am I going to be submissive to him? Sort of like what GiGi was saying where, you know, it's a thing where the guy has to prove himself in order for the woman to feel she needs to submit to him. But in other races, like if you have the Asian women or the white women, there are some Asian women or white women who still would be sort of combative or whatever, but generally they will be either, you know, a little bit more submissive because they too subscribe to the thought of this guy has to prove his submission because of the way that we've been brought up. But with that point, also I wanted to say this when we were talking about, because GiGi was talking about, you know, well, the guy has to prove this and prove that. The thing about submission is that submission or being submissive is within yourself. So submissiveness isn't even about you, you know, being with the man, because you should be submissive even when you're not with a man. So it's kind of like me saying, I'm a dominant man, I'm a dominant male. I'm not going to just be dominant when I meet a woman. I'm dominant when I'm not with any woman at all. That's just how I am. So the same thing goes for women. Women need to be submissive or should be submissive even when they're not with a man. So when they do get with a man, right, depending on, you know, women can still choose to be with a good guy. That's their choice to make sure they either get with a good guy or get with a guy who's a loser. That's their choice. But the fact is that their submission shouldn't be dependent upon them getting with the guy. So the same thing as me being dominant or me being masculine shouldn't be dependent upon me getting with a woman. I should have been that before I even met a woman. You understand what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the way I disagree with the whole, well, he has to prove this in order for me to be this, when you are that even before you met him. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm coming from with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. GiGi, you got any rebuttal thoughts to what he just said?
Oh boy.
Oh, she's sighing. She's sighing. We
cannot generalize. You know what? We cannot generalize. We cannot generalize for women. We cannot generalize for cultures because you guys know. Well, if you may not know, I'm not completely American. I'm West Indian. I'm from Trinidad, and we have a different role as that we're brought up as women to do. My father never did anything. My father came through the door. I took off his shoes. I made his. They drink tea instead of coffee in the morning for him to take to work. I made his plate. I took care of my dad. I understood the role of being a submissive wife very young, but I still was also taught that you don't give that to everybody. That man has to be worthy of that. And
okay,
and
so
when you do,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, okay. See, and that's the argument with that is, see, the flaw in that argument is that now what you're doing is you're making your behavior or who you are dependent upon what other people are doing. So like for example, if me, you, and Alan walked into a room and the room was dark, and I turned the lights on, right? Is the light going to shine on all of us, or is it going to say, let me shine on Alan because I like him, and let me shine on GiGi because I like her, and let me not shine on Mr. Locario because he hasn't proven that he's worth my shine? You understand? Like, the light shines on everybody because that's what light does. So what I'm saying is that you are submissive because that's who you are. That's what you're about. So you're submissive no matter what. But then you can choose which man or whatever you want to follow. That's your choice. You see what I'm saying? So there's a difference between you being submissive because he's proving himself and you just being submissive because that's what you're about. That's your nature. You see what I mean? And I think that's the part that people get confused. And it's kind of like women have been conditioned to think that, oh, well, I can't be this way. I can't, be submissive until he proves that. And this is why a lot of women who actually think that way are the type of women who have a hard time finding a man. You understand? Because they're out of alignment with who they really are in their nature. See, a man is going to be attracted or drawn to a woman who knows the truth, which is that she is a submissive woman and that she brings that out. By telling the guy he has to prove to you what he's about in order to get your submission, it doesn't make sense because that's not even natural. You know what I'm saying? It's not a natural thing.
I want to agree with you, but I can't. I can't agree with you, and I'm going to tell you why.
Right.
Okay? As you put us all in the room, let's say beyond our, I just mentioned to you from childhood, I've been submissive. So let's say we've all been submissive, okay? And then we fall in love, and within time, within everything else, you learn to be less submissive. We're not the people we were that were loving at the age of 5 years old. You know what I mean? Those things change over time. It's not that a woman doesn't want to do that, like I said, but she doesn't want to waste her time and do that for someone unworthy. She's still going to cook. She may still be submissive in other ways, but she may not be completely submissive as if that's her king. He may earn that over time. Do you understand what I mean? If she's an attentive, loving type of person in that way of being submissive, she may already be that regardless.
Right.
But she's not going to go to the overboard part of that where, she's washing your feet or something like that until she feels that you're worthy of that.
But that's the thing. The reason why that women won't do that is because they've been hurt, they've been cheated on, they've been lied to, this and this and that. And see, that right there is the sickness that is going on with it's kind of like the same thing where people say, well, I'm not going to be happy until I get a nice car. I'm not going to be happy until I'm rich and this and this and that. And it's like you forgot that happiness is within you, and you've been conditioned to think, I need to get this, this, and this in order to be happy. But now women are like, well, you know what? I'm not going to naturally be myself because I don't want to get hurt, so I'm only going to be in my natural state. I'm only going to give you what should be done until you show me that it's safe to do that, which is not natural. It's not natural to do things because you're going to get this thing in return or you're waiting to see somebody's going to do. No, that's not the natural way. The natural way is for you to be that way. You understand? But your fear is making you say, well, I need to wait until he does this or does that in order to prove that, I should do this thing. It's crazy. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Like, the natural state is the submission. You see what I mean? And a lot of women feel like they need to put on the submission, but you're already there. The submission is there. It's the same thing where most people like happiness or feeling like a sense of well-being, it's basically already there, but you have to drop all the crap that's making you upset and feel negative. This is the same thing. So women have to drop all the crap of feeling like they need to do A, B, and C, or the guy needs to do A, B, and C in order for the submission to come out. The submission is there. Until you drop the crap, that's when the submission will come out and it'll naturally flow. You see what I mean?
I understand that, but you're basically saying that she's not ready to receive. Okay, which I get that. You have to understand too that women receive. You are inside of us. You're not, you out there, you swinging freely. You go inside of us. And so women are not so open, like, just like we're saying we were kids, we're 5. Okay, Alan shoves us on the ground. We're not gonna be so eager to play with Alan no more. When the playground and he shove you in the little sandbox and you got sand, you're not gonna be so eager to play with him the next time. You will probably play with him again, but you're not gonna be so receptive. And some women, I understand what you're saying. They're not so eager to receive. I get that. And we, as women, you don't want to be a doormat either. How many times are these men going to hurt you and you're going to go through this when you give your all and it gets taken for granted? So now they're rationing it out for their own protection.
But that also goes along, but that's what I was saying with the difference between choosing the right guy and, versus just talking about submission, because your submission is separate from you choosing the right guy. You understand? You could be, if you're a woman who is, you know that you're submissive and you are being submissive, you're being in your natural state. You don't have to necessarily get with this, guy A or guy B or guy C if you see that they're not worthy of being a good man to a woman. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you're not going, and it's not even saying you're not going to submit to him, because if you were with him, you would still submit because that's who you are. You're submissive. So the challenge for women is finding the right guy to be with, so that when you are submissive, you are basically being submissive to the right guy. So it's not about finding the guy and then saying, okay, well, I'm going to turn on my submissive button and turn on the submission now. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's already there. So that's the part that, is like kind of crazy, because it's like, once you feel like, oh, I got to act like I'm not submissive, or I'm going to turn it off, I'm going to do all this other stuff, you're not being natural. And that's, like I said, a big reason why a lot of women stay single. They can't find a man, or they can't keep a guy, because they're not in that natural state. You know what I'm saying?
They haven't turned it off like a button. They're just they're rationing it out. No, they already are submissive. So I could be the submissive girl that, you come to see me. When you come, I make you dinner. I put it in front of you. We sit, we watch TV. And then I can be that submissive woman that, you've had a hard day and I want to wash your feet. You know what I mean? I want to take care of you and do that. This is what I'm saying. So it's rationed out. I'm not going to give you the whole thing right away. I do want you to know that I can be submissive, so I'm going to show you parts of it right now. But I'm going to ration it out because I gave it all to this one guy. And like you said, maybe I'm no longer able to just put it out there because I'm not ready to receive the ugly. Right. So I'm just going to take my time.
Right, but that's what I'm saying though. That's why I said that it's a sickness, and that's why I'm saying that the actual point of the whole thing is that for a woman to say that she's waiting for a man to prove himself, that's incorrect, because he doesn't have to prove anything for you to be naturally yourself. It's like a woman doesn't have to prove to me that she is feminine and submissive for me to be dominant. I'm going to be dominant regardless. Even if the woman is crazy, whatever, I'm going to be dominant. I might not be with her. I might not choose to get with her, but I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to be my natural self. And that's what I'm saying with women, where it's like they got it twisted. So now when they see a guy they like, or they want to get with this guy, and they're like, oh, well, you have to prove to me that you're worthy of me being submissive, he's going to be out. He's going to be gone, because he's like, why am I with this woman who isn't, submissive? You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, when you're saying, well, I am submissive, I'm just waiting for you to prove to me that I can show you that, and it just doesn't work that way. You see what I'm saying? And that's why you got all these women running around upset they ain't got a man. You know what I mean? So,
well, I want to throw this story in real quick, and I want to. Well, first of all, I'm gonna get to you next. I see 773 with the hand raised. I see 310 with the hand raised, and I see 909 with the hand raised. So I'm gonna get to 773, 310, 909. Now, here's an interesting story of domination submission. And I want to preface my comments, and now I see 907, so I'll take 907 after 909. I want to preface this story by saying I'm not one who encourages or condones anything that I think resembles domestic violence. So I want to put that out there. Now, that said, people who've operated in the BDSM lifestyle, which I have, know that a lot of times a dom or top or master or mistress even can get physical with their subs. And a lot of times their subs like that. But anyway, get to the point. I was talking to a sister just a few days ago, and we were talking about past sexual experiences, and I want to say we got on the subject of domination submission, and she said, Alan, I got to be honest with you. Well, actually, she calls me daddy, so let's be real. She don't call me Alan. She calls me daddy.
Dominate me, daddy.
Yeah, she calls me daddy. So she was talking about this guy she used to deal with. One time she was sucking his dick, and he said, I can feel teeth. I don't want to feel teeth. Don't let me feel teeth again. And she said she got kind of smart alecky with him. She gave him a look like, like, motherfucker, fuck you. I'll suck your dick the way I want to suck your dick. So he felt teeth again. He said, didn't I tell you I didn't want to feel teeth? And she said he smacked the shit out of her. I mean, based on her description, she said he smacked the shit out of her. He said, bitch, I told you I didn't want to fucking feel no teeth on my dick. You understand that now? And she said she just, instead of getting angry that he slapped the shit out of her, she admitted that slap brought out her submissive side. And she said all of a sudden, she was like, yes, sir, it won't happen again. And he said, it better not fucking happen again. Then she said he just started fucking her mouth vigorously. and she said from that day forward to the time they stopped dealing with each other, she said she was ultra submissive to him. But it took him slapping the shit out of her for her to get to that point. So let me ask both of you all before I take my next caller, what are your thoughts on that scenario?
You want to go first? GiGi, you want to go?
Hello?
GiGi, did you hear that story? What do you think about that scenario?
Look, the slapping, that's a bit much.
GiGi was like, I'm going to get my Glock if a motherfucker slap me.
Look, no, I have been slapped during sex, and it was weird. It was weird, and I was caught off guard, but it didn't happen again. It was weird, and I was caught off guard, and I was into it, but I was just like, you're not going to keep doing this to me, Let that be the last time, and of course, I'm no longer seeing that person. But I don't know with the sucking dick thing. I mean, what she was doing? What? How was she sucking a dick? That made what? What did like? How does that even happen?
She kept, because I've had a couple women in my life where I felt the teeth, and I was like, nah, you got. I can't be feeling no teeth. Now I can't say I went ahead and slapped the shit out of him like this dude did. But
there's guys that love teeth. They actually have grazes on their dick. They love, for real. They like.
Don't mention teeth and sucking dick in the same sentence. Shit makes me grab my dick right now. I'm like, oh shit.
They like it just a little bit. Like you don't really have to put your teeth in it. You can have a little bit of graze. It's a different sensation in between, but you got to be able to loop that up where it's not painful. You can use a little teeth, but not chewing on it. It's not bubble gum. I understand that.
Exactly.
But for you to slap her, it's like I would still want to get my dick sucked later. So I don't know if I would have slapped her because I might have been able to show her or at least, wear the back of her throat out. So, I mean, because when you choke in the back of the throat, she can't bite. She's trying to grasp for air a little bit. So I'm just saying I would try to work it out. I wouldn't have slapped her because I'm going to still need some head later. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, so Mr. Locario, what do you think about the connection between a physical gesture like that and a woman being submissive, why do you think that awakened her submissive nature to be slapped?
Right. It's crazy because, like, you know, I think you know, in situations like that, or just any type of situation where the dude is being, you know, dominant, and then, you know, he exerts his dominance over the chick, is that it's sort of like it sort of snaps her out of like all this, because you said she was saying a little like smart alecky type of stuff and all that. So it's like generally a lot of women out here, you know, and I notice with a lot of American women for some reason, but generally like a lot of women out here, they'll be just saying a lot of slick stuff sometimes. And, you know, they do that type of stuff, and a lot of them aren't submissive. A lot of them aren't, you know, putting forth that submissive quality. So the thing is, like I was saying again before, is like women already are naturally submissive. So it's almost like he slapped the hell out of her, and then she got back to her natural senses. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's always underlying, it's there. It is nothing like, you know, like it's gone or she's not this way. It's already there. But the thing is that it's like women are super crazy conditioned, and this is why I sort of agree with GiGi, where you're saying that there are going to be women who are going to be out there who's going to say, well, I'm not going to submit unless he, you know, displays this and this and that, because it's you know, it's women have been conditioned to feel like that is the way to do it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that's the way it's going to, you know, happen nowadays. You know,
but yeah, you know, this woman very much validates a lot of your comments you've made, Mr. Locario, because in that conversation, she admitted that, you know, you were basically saying that the women who are not submissive are basically kind of putting on a front, a facade,
right?
You know, and going against her own nature. And yeah, she said from the time they first met up until the point he hit her, she just said she didn't feel motivated to be, like, you know, submissive to him. She said she had always been naturally this defiant. Now, when I met her, she was more so naturally submissive. And I think that's how we got on the subject, because I was like, you know, have you always been submissive with men, or did you have a series of experiences that led you to become more submissive? And that's when she told me about this. And yeah, I just found it interesting that she said, yeah, up until that point, she had been real smart alecky with him, real sassy, you know, talk back to him. But she said when he smacked the shit out of her, she said from that day forward, it was like she became his personal sex slave. She said she never back talked to him or nothing. And I was like, wow. And she said, I don't really like to tell this story to, like, my girlfriends, because it makes it look like I'm condoning, you know, some form of domestic violence. But she said to me, she said, truthfully, she said it was a turn on. She said it made my pussy like dripping wet when he just hauled off and slapped me. And I was like, yeah, okay.
We now return to my debate and discussion with Mr. Locario and GiGi Watt regarding women's desire to submit to men, or their lack of desire to submit to men, on Up Front and Straightforward with Ellen Roger Currie, right here on the Blog Talk Radio Internet Radio Network.
Welcome back to another episode of Up Front and Straightforward with Alan Roger Currie, my 9th season on Blog Talk Radio. Okay, I see that nobody took me up on my offer during the intermission break. I see about 15 numbers in the phone queue, but nobody pressed the number 1. So I invite you, unless you just really just want to listen, but press the number 1 if you have a question or comment. But my 2 guests for the evening are 2 people who I like a lot and have a lot of respect for. One is professional dating coach Mr. Locario, who, as he mentioned at the top of the show, he's been a professional dating coach for about 8 years. And I know from Facebook that he has a very loyal following, and he helps a lot of guys across the country improve their love life, sex life, and overall social life. And then GiGi, she hosts a show on Blog Talk Radio, Sex, Let's Make It Better. She's she knows what she's talking about when it comes to fucking. And she just got that fucking voice. Matter of fact, GiGi, I want you to do a favor for me. I played the clip of my former guest Sabrina when she said this.
I like to help people improve their fucking.
Ooh. Now, I want you to tell my listening audience that you also love to help people improve their fucking, GiGi.
I love to help people improve their fucking.
Ooh, you got to say that again.
I love to help people improve their fucking.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so nobody else is pressed the number one, so I'm going to ask both you guys a few more questions, and then we'll just wrap up since everybody just wants to listen. But I'll start with you, GiGi. I know you have conversations with many women, and I'm sure some of those women have been alpha types and women who like to dominate men and they handpick men and lead their relationships. So based on your conversations with the women who fall into that category, what do they tell you? What is the biggest benefit that women tell you they get out of being an alpha female as opposed to a beta female?
That they're in charge. I mean, that's the main thing. They're in charge. There's no second guessing. A beta male is not going to second guess. He's going to follow. He's not a leader. So they are just completely in charge. That's the best part of it for them.
So, but women like that, they can be in charge but still be turned on by the beta male.
Absolutely, because a woman that likes to be in charge some women like to be in charge completely. Like you said, we have when you're dealing with the BDSM, you have the dom, you have the submissive, and you have the switch. You can't change a dom. A dominant alpha female is completely turned on by her role of being in charge. If she's ever put in a position where she has to second guess that's where she won't be turned on. Or she'll be the type of alpha female that just needs that dominance sexually.
Interesting. Okay, Brother Locario, in your observation of people you've known, because I always make the argument, which of course women have debated me on, but I said me with my own eyes, I've never seen a relationship work long term. I've seen some maybe work short term, but long term, I've never seen a relationship work where the woman was the one wearing, quote unquote, wearing the pants in a relationship. Have you ever observed a couple that was friends of yours, acquaintances of yours? Have you ever seen a relationship work where the woman was the one who was wearing the pants in the relationship?
Well, I've seen the relationships work, but it's usually not good relationships. You know what I mean? Like the man is miserable, and to an extent, the woman is miserable because her man is too soft. You see what I'm saying? So exactly. They could work, but it's not really a great relationship. You know what I mean? And I think depending and kind of like what GiGi was saying, I think in certain, when people are, let's say they have like a BDSM type of relationship, in that context, I think that a woman would be happy being dominant and a man would be happy being submissive in that specific context of that relationship, as far as that sexual relationship goes. But I feel like for a long-term relationship where it's not just about sex, it's about like just overall like everything in the relationship, I don't think that's going to go over very well when the woman is dominating and the man is being super submissive for that whole relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because like I know one of the things I like about dominant submissive relationships is because, and I think a lot of people who are into either BDSM or if not BDSM, just like these type. Because there was a study that came out, I want to say either 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that it proved three things. That BDSM relationships actually result in less drama, less arguments, and more peace of mind among the men and women involved in them. Number two is something I think you just mentioned a few minutes ago, is that they tend to have a higher degree of romantic and sexual passion than traditional, kind of conventional, normal relationships. And third thing, they last longer. And I know in my relationships, I don't like, one thing I find about most men, and of course there's exceptions on both ends, but generally speaking, men, we don't like relationship drama. We like drama as relates to, is that quarterback going to throw the winning touchdown, or is Steph Curry going to hit a 3-point from the midcourt line? So we like sports-related drama or drama in the context of a movie or a TV show, but we don't like drama in our relationships. Whereas a lot of women actually, they like drama. They welcome drama. And anyway, I find that when everybody in a relationship knows their role, when the woman knows her role and you know your role as a man, to me, it's just what's been my experience. You just have significantly less drama and arguments and shit. Whereas, and that's the reason why I always argue that you can't really have two alphas, because, man, anytime I've seen two alphas in a relationship, it's like argument city. It's like all that couple does is fucking argue all the time. And anyway, what other question I had it, and I don't have it in front of me now. Well, let me get away from just submission and ask you. I was on a message board today, Mr. Locario, and of course, with the message boards, you got a lot of guys whining and complaining on the state of either their love life individually or the state of dating relationships in general. And one guy posted that I think he's about 23, 24, and he tried to say to me, he said, Alan, I respect that you're a dating coach and you got fairly good advice, but you're an older guy. He tried to call me an older guy, like I'm ready for the cane in the rocking chair. And he said, I don't know if you can relate to the plight of the young man today. He said, Alan, this is the worst that dating and relationships has been for men, like in the history of the world. He said dating is just totally fucked up because all the women are shallow, superficial, materialistic, and he added on one more thing. I think it was super duper promiscuous or something like that. And so he said this is the worst. He thinks he wish he was born in another generation. So I'm gonna start off asking you, and then Gigi, I want to get your thoughts on this guy's complaint that the state of dating. Do you think that the state of dating relationships? You're 34, so let's say since the time you were 16 up until now, would you agree that dating relationships is the most challenging for men today, or you think that's just that young man has the wrong perspective and the wrong attitudes and beliefs?
I'm gonna say yes and no. I'm gonna say yes because the mentality right now of the way that women are, generally it's just all over the place. You have women who subscribe to a lot of feminism. You have a lot of women that within itself creates basically like an air of uncooperative type of situation between men and women. And so that type of stuff that goes on in society, it spills over into the dating game. The way that society is now, where and this is why you have so many guys who are beta, because they're basically acquiescing to how society is now, and so that makes it even harder for them because now you got the beta dudes and then you got the females who think they're running stuff. So that dynamic makes it hard. But I say no because what makes I feel like the dating game a little bit more advantageous now is because of stuff like technology. You know, you have things like Tinder where you can just basically meet up with women like that. You understand what I'm saying? Where you have all these choices to meet up with girls. You know, there's so many different things going on where you can meet up with people versus, you know, back in the day where maybe back in the 60s or the 50s or whatever, where you just sort of, you know, had to get with the girl that lived down the block from you. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like you have more access now to women, and you just got to sort of know how to, like, you know, maneuver to get what you want, you know, with these girls. So it's a little bit harder as far as, like, you know, things go nowadays, but I feel like the access is what's going to give guys more of an advantage to make something happen if they really want to make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. GiGi, I know you call yourself old school, but I'm sure you've had conversations with a lot of... Oh, 910, I see you. I'm going to get to you in a second. 910, I'm going to get to you in a second. But GiGi, thinking about some younger women, say a woman between 18 and 29, that you may have had conversations with over the last few years, is there anything you can identify in their behavior that you frown on that makes you say, wow, when I was that age, I didn't act like that. What's wrong with these young women? Or do you think all of the behavior of women between 18 and 29 today is A-okay?
When we're breaking down women between the ages of 18 and 29, we're breaking down single mothers, people who got married young. I mean, you got a lot of things to break down there. There's a lot of things that people do that make me frown.
Let's say single women who haven't been married yet in that age group.
Okay. A lot of, like you said, some people have that generational thing. So if their father was not there, for whatever reason, I'm not going to call him a deadbeat or whatever, because I don't know what the circumstances is. But if that is beaten into a female's head, they are not open to receive a man at all. And they don't even hear themselves repeating what the mother is repeating. And sometimes that goes on to the grandmother. It's like a generational thing. I frown upon that because they're unwilling to break that curse and open themselves up to have the love that they want. Because they want love. They want to be married. They want to have all those things. And sometimes, if you really pay attention to those type of circumstances, I've done counseling for someone that was living in that circumstance. It was 3 generations of single women living in this house, kind of cheerleading each other into being single forever.
Wow.
And they were all very unhappy. Although there was like, well, I can buy this and I can do this, but you're going to bed with your cat. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what Mr. Locario was talking about. These women want to run shit, but they're unhappy.
It's true.
You're not being realistic. Yeah, they're carrying on the burdens of generations. That I frown upon that, and I frown at the fact that they're just not open to receive in any man. He could be the greatest man ever. And here come grandma to say, oh, well, you know, he didn't come today and bring you flowers like he did last week. You see, he probably seeing someone, and here come mama behind him. Yeah, you probably like your daddy. Now you got a whole generation of that going on. And these women are so broken because these are their peers. These are the people you look up to. These are your elders. And they're not giving guidance. So, yeah, I frown upon that greatly.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up. First, GiGi, tell my listening audience where they can find out more about you and anything that you might have. Well, first, I'm going to ask you, what's your, like, kind of like they do in the presidential debates, their final statement? What's your final statement on the whole notion of women being submissive to men?
I would like for these ladies to open themselves up to be able to receive as well as give. It's just like communicating. You have to listen in order to communicate as well. It's not just talking. So I want these ladies to attempt just little by little. Some of y'all, it's going to take baby steps. I get that. And it's not going to just give it all out there, but start making those steps. And, I think she said her name was Deborah. Deborah made a huge statement You have to take care of home. You have to take care of cooking. All those are just natural things that you're supposed to do. Look good for yourself. Look good for him too. That's how you should be. So all the extra things that come with being submissive will come easy to a person that's open to receive what you're giving, and when you're open to receive what they're willing to take. So, yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you the $1 million question. Should a woman always suck a man's dick on command?
On command?
On command.
I want to say yes. No, I want to say yes, but sometimes you might just be tired. You don't really want to. When you're tired and you give a hand, that takes like 20 minutes, and then your jaw hurting, and it's not cute. So I mean, I don't know about the on demand, but you should make sure your man get head at least a good 5 times out of the week. I think he should get that.
Okay, that's satisfactory. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot before I turn things over to Miss Locario. Now, Gigi, you're a pretty frank and expressive woman. When you saw Mr. Locario's picture on my Facebook timeline, did you visualize him sucking on your pussy? Did you say, "Damn, he got pussy licking lips"?
You know what we call them? You know what we call them in the South is soup coolers. And yes, I was saying it. Yes, when they blow on the soup. Yes, I did notice those big, pretty soup coolers. I sure did.
Hilarious.
I love it. All right, sweetie. Well, thank you for contributing to this conversation tonight. Much love and respect to you. And what's your final thoughts and final comments, Mr. Locario? And then after that, let my listening audience know where they can find you and any events or projects you might have on the table.
I wanted to tell all the ladies out there, don't be scared to, be submissive to, and just embrace it, because you feel it, it's there, it's okay to embrace it, and it's cool. And also, for guys too, guys are also submissive as far as you being a man. Protecting and providing for your wife and your kids, that you're being submissive by, bringing the money home, making sure everything is cool, so you're of service to your wife and your kids. So everybody does it. You just got to embrace it and do your thing. You feel me? And I just wanted to tell everybody that you can go to my site, MrLocario.com. That's MrLocario.com. And for the guys, you can get my free my free ebook, The Magnificent 10 Crucial Dating Tips for Men. And for the ladies, you can get my free audio program, 7 Highly Effective Steps to Finding and Keeping a Man. And also for you guys out there, make sure you go to badboymembership.com, which is my membership site, where you get 45 to 90-minute audio and video tutorials every month, and the step-by-step dating advice that you can use to, learn how to get girls, learn how to have more sex, more dates, all the other stuff. So go to badboymembership.com. All right?
Now,
and Alan, I want to thank you for having me on the show. Like, real talk, man. Like, you're that dude. You understand? Like, mode 1 is the shit. Okay.
Well, I appreciate that, brother.
Like,
I appreciate you saying
that. So keep doing your thing, man. For real.
Thank you, young brother,
Crazy.
man. Now, remind me, are you based in New York or somewhere else?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn, in New York. Brooklyn, New York. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man, we're gonna have to connect, man. Next time I come to the Big Apple, man. And
yeah, man, holler at me. Let me know.
Will do. And listeners, that's gonna do it for tonight's show. Thank you for listening.
All right, now before you click off this video, I need you to do 3 quick things. First, I need you to click the link below to send me your questions, because if you have any questions, I'll answer them in a video. 2, click the link under that to get my free ebook, The Magnificent 10 Crucial Dating Tips for Men. It gives you 10 tips on how to attract beautiful women. And number 3, I want you to click the link under that to go to badboymembership.com, where you get 45 through 90-minute audio and video tutorials every month. Hey, what's up? It's dating and life coach Mr. Locario. Go to badboymembership.com and master the dating game by joining my Bad Boy Membership program. In this program, you'll receive 45 through 90-minute, easy-to-follow, step-by-step dating advice tutorials that's guaranteed to help you attract, date, and have sex with beautiful women. Join the Bad Boy Membership today by going to badboymembership.com. That's badboymembership.com.